They said it wouldn't last, and they said that you can't drive profitable and incremental revenue through the affiliate channel. But here we are, 20 years later, and the affiliate channel is alive and kicking and generating profitable revenue for thousands of retailers across the globe. Hi, I am Jamie Birch, your host of the Profitable Performance Marketing Podcast, where we talk to some of the industry's best and brightest about their careers, about leadership, and about how to drive profitable revenue through the affiliate channel. Hey, this is Jamie Birch with the Profitable Performance Marketing Podcast. Today, we have a great guest, Renee Silverman, the owner at Luggage, a brand and a company that's been around since 1947. So Renee and I talk about a lot of things, but before we go into introing this podcast, I want to let you know of a service that we have at JEBCommerce.com. It is called our Strategy Roadmap. So if you want to go check this out, go to jebco.de/strategy. So that's jebco.de/strategy. And this strategy roadmap is a full audit of your entire program, everything you're doing with your affiliate program right now. And we look and provide recommendations and the strategy guidelines for your current affiliate network setup, a network evaluation. We look at your returned order process setup. Make sure you're not paying commissions on orders that were returned. We do a full gap analysis of your program versus all of our affiliates that we have in all of our programs. We look at your activation and recruitment strategies, your competition, and dive into compliance, your product feed, any other sort of consumer promotions, tech setup, things like that. So if you'd like your free 15-minute call to talk about the JEB strategy roadmap and see if that's right for you, just go to jebco.de/strategy, and I will include a link in our show notes as well. So let's move on to my conversation with Renee. This was fantastic. Renee and I have known each other for a long time. She's been in the industry for as long as I have, in 1999. So we go into the history of Luggage and her career path and how it spanned multiple seismic shifts in our industry, including the current change to travel during COVID. And we definitely go into discussions on how things have changed during COVID. And she laid down some really great strategies and some ways of thinking and what they're doing to hang on. So we talk about pivoting. We talk about content being king. And she gives some few things that really make a difference. And you can go find them at luggage.com and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is Luggage. So I hope you really enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Why don't we just jump right into my chat with Renee Silverman. Hello, Renee. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to chat with you after many, many years, I think, of not really doing that. So welcome to the Profitable Performance Marketing Podcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the podcast with you. It's been nice reconnecting after so many years.
It has. And I think we first connected while you were at and you probably got an email from myself or my sales team trying to have you become a client of ours. And then we just kind of kept in touch after that. And so much has changed. But before we get into, one of the reasons I wanted to invite you on this podcast is your tenure in the travel space. And right now that is one of the most impacted sectors with what's going on in the world right now. So definitely wanted to get your views and perspective and things like that. But before we dive into that, why don't you give our listeners a background on who Renee is and how you got started in the travel sector?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Yeah, I mean, it goes back a few years because Luggage started as a family-owned business, when my dad bought his first store back in 1947. So, it goes back a long way. Wow. It was then called Progressive Trunk and Bag. So, basically I followed my dad and my two brothers into the travel industry, for the first time in the late 80s. And then I left to, have my family, and I came back to work in 1999 after my kids were born. So, things changed actually quite a bit from the late 80s to the late 90s. And, when I came back to work in 1999 in a marketing capacity, it was really on the cusp of a very changing retail world, and it was about to change in ways we couldn't really imagine at the time. Just backing up through the 90s, my brothers had built, a formidable company. There were 13 brick and mortar stores. And in
Wow.
1999, they had just added a website. So we had this a URL, but really no e-commerce business. So the timing was such that I came back. There was this new thing, called the internet and e-commerce. So that really became my focus, was this new and emerging internet. I wasn't at the time, I wasn't particularly knowledgeable about the internet, and I really wasn't that computer savvy, but I took the challenge and I dove into this whole new world. I really set out at that time to learn everything I could about the internet, e-commerce, how to build a web presence and how that could work, for retail business. So, I went to conferences, I met with internet entrepreneurs, I read a lot, and I, slowly learned all the different ways there were to do business online, you know, so including at that time the shopping networks were big, BizRate
Hmm.
and Google Shopping, and there were and I know you've been there all this time as well. So the PPC platforms like Overture and GoTo, and
Oh
then
yeah.
I became involved in the affiliate channel pretty early in the 2000s through Commission Junction and other platforms, eBay, and then of course Amazon. So, I learned a lot about building a solid website. I worked, over the years with developers, through several iterations of our website. And, just it kind of blossomed and grew. And, as the internet was really um, just becoming such a huge part of commerce and retail. So, it also like during this time, so then, progressing through the 2000s, I started, a company Facebook page, so Herbs Luggage Facebook page, and I followed, with other social media platforms after that, with Twitter, and I started a travel blog, which I actually still have to this day, because one of the very early, so many things have changed about the internet, but one of the very earliest things that I learned was that content is king and original content is one of the most valuable things you can add to your website. So, I did that, all those years ago, and I still continue to add to that blog even today.
Wow.
So, yeah, so it's been really an interesting journey, and as the years passed, we began to do more business online and less business in stores. It became hard for the retail stores to compete with online. It became, you know, um, very transactional, the lowest price, the quickest shipping. And, it became harder for our stores to compete with that. So one by one, our stores, brick and mortar stores closed and the
Hmm.
e-commerce side of the business grew. Um, you know, and I should add in that one of the things that has remained constant through all this change is one of the things that we offered then and we offer now is, and you can't purchase this online, it's a service, is luggage repair.
Hmm.
So that has been something that's been really a constant part of our business. So, you know, going way back to the days when I remember that my dad used to do luggage repair in our garage. So we grew to
Wow.
be an authorized luggage repair center with, connections with the airlines and all the major manufacturers. My brothers worked on building those relationships, over the course of, decades actually. And we had a large repair shop with 5 repair people. And at a certain point, my husband had his own business that closed in 2008, and he came to work for my brothers. And he also had tremendous experience on the luggage repair side of the business. So the relationships that he'd had for several decades, came to, and he brought those, when he came to work at Herb's Luggage. So, you know, that piece of the business was important and still is important because it, gives us it did then and it does now give us a unique opportunity to first encounter a traveler with a broken bag. They need a handle, they need a wheel, they need something fixed. They may not have purchased the bag from us to begin with, but you know, based on the kind of service that they would get from us, we had the opportunity to turn that person into a future customer. So, I know this is a little bit more than just about how I got started in the travel industry, but it was such an interesting time. I wanted to give you, an idea of that unique timing that I happen to be part of.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to meet another person and to talk with another person that's been in it the same amount of time. 99 is when I started.
Right.
And all the things you said about what was going on in e-commerce and just the world is why I got into affiliate marketing and e-commerce, is because it was so different, so changing. We really, I always felt like we were creating it as it was happening, or at least, the
Mhm.
first people to discover what was going on. It made it very, very exciting. And so, you're through that iteration, and now Irv's has made sort of another shift in the last couple of years. You talked a shift from stores to e-commerce, retail to e-commerce. Now you've kind of gone a different path, or maybe back again. So, there's been an interesting path for Irv's over the years. But I did want to say one thing. The short answer to how you got started seems to be is in your genes. 1947 on, your family was very much into this market.
And, just as a funny aside, my husband and I met. He was also in the business um, for 25 years. His father started his business, and he and I met at a trade show in Vegas. So we just recently, this past March, went to right before everything shut down for
Hmm.
COVID. We went to a travel goods show in New Orleans, and that was the 35th anniversary of the travel goods show that we met at in
Oh,
Vegas. So
wow.
it was kind of fun. I mean, it was something, a little bit nostalgic. And actually, the Travel Goods Association interviewed us at the show and published a little story. And, just kind of a feel good story that we met at that very show 35 years ago.
Oh,
And
that's
there we
great.
were back. It was a very full circle moment because we were both working for separate companies 35 years ago. And here we are back and we're business partners. And
Hmm.
kind of a neat moment.
That's fantastic. Now,
Yeah.
now Urs has been through a bit of a change and renaissance, and so tell us, since you talked about the transition from stores to e-commerce. Now, where is Irv's now? What are you leading the company through? You're the owner now, so tell us all about this iteration and this evolution.
Yeah. So, I mean, as the retail world continued to evolve and Amazon became increasingly hard to compete with, the original company ran into difficulty, in that environment where lowest price and immediate delivery were the most important parts of the transaction. So, there were so many small businesses just like ours that we just couldn't compete with that, particularly for us, given the oversized nature of luggage. Just shipping
Mhm.
luggage, free was there adds a tremendous cost onto the bottom line. So it just became, untenable for us. And, so really the way that worked out was that the original company, my brothers made the very painful, difficult decision to shut down the company. That's what they did in May of 2018. The original company
Wow.
closed. So yeah, it was very, yeah, it was a really sad time.
I can only imagine that had to be very
Yeah,
difficult to do.
it was very difficult. You spend a lifetime pouring, everything into a business, and it's so much more than a job. It's who you are. And, it was my dad's legacy, and my dad, is no longer living, but, you know, it was just very emotional for all of us. But, practicality comes around, and my husband and I really weren't in a position to retire. And so at that time, we kind of evaluated the idea of restarting the business as a new business entity, buying the Earth Luggage name because it does have a lot of brand awareness in this market. We've been in the Chicago area for 70 plus years, so it was very respected and a customer following and all that. So we thought, we could do this just with a very different strategy, actually a really simple strategy. So we decided we would open a single store with a very carefully cultivated selection of products, luggage and travel bags, anti-theft bags. We certainly know our products. So we've been in this industry a long time. And, we thought if we could do that with that, very carefully selected assortment, offer expert travel advice for business travelers, international travelers, continue to offer the superior service that we were known for and the luggage repair, we thought that this could be something that would work. So in other words, really the goal was to be everything that Amazon isn't. So,
Hmm.
there was it was just very, very simple and relatively uncomplicated, really. So, but having 18 years e-commerce, experience in my background, I knew that we still needed a website, even though, the new strategy really didn't include e-commerce per se. I knew that I still needed a website. There's a lot of value in having a website as a way of validating who we are. Um, it's a way to market to customers via email. They can click on something and shop on the website for that. Also a place, doing through social media marketing that I could drive customers to. So, with a little bit of help from a friend, I together a WordPress site. So it was a far cry from the custom sites I had been developing over the years for Herb's Luggage, but
Yeah.
really it was the perfect solution for this new iteration of Herb's Luggage. It's just a simple
And the
WordPress site.
technology has changed dramatically since then too, to make that a possibility for you.
Right, absolutely, and very easy. I manage it myself, and WordPress, as I'm sure you know, is very customizable. I mean, since we've launched 2 years ago, I've added plugins that have allowed me to, do very specific things that I'd like to do. Um, one of those things that, in fact, I added a plugin for a honeymoon registry.
Mm.
So that's something I just launched pretty recently, and it's been really kind of an interesting channel to go down. I have a few people that have registered, and I walk them through, you know, what items to add to the registry. And so that's been a really, interesting, plugin to add to the website. So again, very customizable, which is what I love about it. But, you know, I think also, I felt uniquely positioned with my background to maximize what we had to offer as a brick and mortar retailer. So, the strong digital background has really been critical, I think, to what we've been able to accomplish. My skill set allows me to work in multiple channels. I can manage the website. I also work in eBay. I have products on Etsy. Um, I use all the social media platforms. I do email. I do some print and all different combinations of things to reach different segments of my market. We do have an older customer. The retirees are that's a big customer market for us. Their children are grown and they have disposable income and they travel a lot,
Hmm.
but they're not necessarily, a lot of them are on Facebook, but they don't shop Facebook the way that maybe the younger generation does. So, we use all different kinds of, methods to reach, their big email customers. So, all of that digital background has really come to play, to push, this business forward. So anyway, just to kind of get back to where we're at. So with this very simple strategy of one store and a website, we reopened in August of 2018. And 11 months after we reopened, we moved to our current location in Vernon Hills, which really, this move turned out to be just, you know, the best thing that we could have done and really instrumental in allowing us to realize the potential of the new Herbs Luggage.
Mm.
Because we reopened in the building that had housed our previous warehouse, but it really wasn't a retail setting. It was a very isolated industrial area, not a retail corridor at all. Moving to Vernon Hills, we were in a community, like a community, surrounded by restaurants and other businesses on a very highly trafficked street. So, you know, it allowed us great visibility that we didn't have before. Our old customers could find us, and it opened up a whole new segment of customers to the north of us. So it's been just a tremendous opportunity I don't even think we could foresee. But I think one of the most interesting things about it is that, as I said earlier, we're 5 minutes from home. So
Yeah.
the power of being in your own community and being in your own backyard is, has been powerful, because we've just feel that people know us, we feel the support. When you come into the store, it's personal by design. You
Yeah.
walk into the entrance and you're greeted with floor to ceiling murals of hand painted iconic travel sites all over the world. There's a photo montage behind the cash wrap that spans the 70 plus years of the company. So I have photos of my dad from the 50s, the 70s, the
Wow.
90s. So it's really, it's very personal. And then all around the perimeter of the store, I have travel photos from my family. So my family's travels and my kids' travels, and and so I think it makes it very personal. It's our store, and you walk in and you kind of know that.
Oh, I just think it's courageous to launch something like this again. And I'm interested to hear, that discussion that, you and your husband had of starting this again. Was the uh, the thrust to be what Amazon couldn't be? Did that come up later? Um, that's such a huge decision to make. So how did that discussion go? And was it from the beginning on this relaunch to do what Amazon can't? Tell me
Mhm.
more about that.
Yeah, no, that was always really fundamental to the strategy from the very beginning. Having been so involved myself on the digital side with Amazon, and I was an FBA seller for years, I was very aware of, how we had to distinguish ourselves from Amazon, that, you know, we didn't want to be just transactional. We wanted people to have a reason to come into us, to want to be with us. We wanted to be the source of information and also be the place that they could bring their bag if there was a problem. And, luggage is damaged. If not every trip, every other trip, people,
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much you spend on your luggage. I mean, it gets mishandled and needs attention. And we can handle that. So it was absolutely a fundamental part of the strategy was be what they are not. Provide what we didn't want to be just a commodity. We wanted to be a place that people felt good about shopping, that they knew they were going to come, not only find the right products at very competitive prices, but get the service and the personal attention that they could get from a company like ours, where we genuinely care about every single customer, whether they come in to buy, a toiletry kit or they come in to buy 3 pieces of luggage. It doesn't matter to us. We're just happy that someone comes in and wants to shop, in our place of business.
That's fantastic. I've seen a lot of people in order to compete with Amazon to try to be Amazon and be better at what Amazon is really good. But this strategy is the opposite. And I salute you guys for it. So be what Amazon can't. Do you think that, is that a trend we're going to see? Do you think that's going to happen in other areas as well? As we're seeing the retail
Yeah.
apocalypse happen, and you're kind
Hmm.
of bucking this whole trend. Do you see that
Hmm.
happening more and more?
Well, I do, and I think we're at a really unique time in the world, with regard to Amazon. Everyone uses it for something, um,
Hmm.
but I think also we've I feel that we've reached a point where people realize that their communities have lost small businesses to Amazon. And I think that as a result, people genuinely want to support the small businesses in their communities because they realize that unless they do, those businesses will be gone. And so many businesses are gone. So we've actually really experienced that phenomenon. I mean, we are, you know, almost on a daily basis, humbled and grateful for the support we feel in our community for Herb's Luggage. You know, I mean, I could say there isn't a day that goes by that someone we know personally doesn't stop in either to make a purchase or just to say hi, see how we're doing. People really want us to succeed. We feel that, and it's amazing. It's powerful and it's amazing. So I do feel, and I think particularly during this COVID time when there's been so much local support for small businesses, um, restaurants and carry out, people realize that if they don't support the businesses in their communities, those businesses will not survive.
As we're talking, I'm being hit with uh, the concept of, or the memory of, Main Street, and knowing your pharmacist, knowing your
Mhm.
mechanic, knowing all the shop owners, and we live in a small community here, so I always consider those people part of my team. Of
Mhm.
being
Right,
successful in my life is the person who cuts my hair, the person who takes care of my car, and we've seen such a drastic shift away from that. I think starting with how Walmart would come into a community, and the big box stores, and now Amazon really hounding that.
mhm,
It's great to hear the success story. And for those who are listening, and looking on how to pivot and how to deal with Amazon, I think that's a really big thing to highlight here is, be what they aren't. Because what you're doing, Renee, at Irv's, and you in your store, is something they are not able to do. There's no way for them to do it. They can't do it at scale. They're not going to try.
right. Exactly, and we know that, and we hear it all the time because we do get people that will come in with a piece of luggage that they bought on Amazon 60 days ago. After 30 days, it doesn't they won't take anything back. There's no one you can talk to. They're not going to help you. They're not there for
Yeah.
you. First, anyone that buys something from us, they know we're going to be there for them after the sale. We're going to take care of them. We're going to repair the bag, and we're going to do everything we can to support the customer, while they're traveling. So there's so many things that we can do and that we do, on a daily basis for our customers because we can.
Yeah.
That's what we want to be.
That's fantastic. I love to hear the success story. Now, you talked about COVID and how that's kind of
Hmm.
changed. And that's definitely one thing I wanted to talk about.
Hmm.
What have you seen change with your business, change with consumers, change
Hmm.
within the travel industry from your perspective because of COVID?
Yeah, so, this has been, especially difficult for us. We are directly impacted by COVID-19 for the most obvious reason in that, no one's traveling. So business travel's been replaced by Zoom. International travel's been severely restricted. And, while it has relaxed in recent weeks, it's still difficult to travel, with different states and countries requiring pre-travel COVID testing, some quarantining upon arrival. It's complicated and people are still afraid. I did actually read this morning that the CDC lifted the 14-day mandatory quarantine after travel. So, every day it's changing. We're just
Yeah.
trying to stay on top of that and, to be just to be aware of the changes as they're occurring. I also just read another article that, it was a little sobering that talked about United States lost about $31 million in tourism revenue to the US the first 4 months of this year, followed by Spain and France and Thailand. So it's really a frightening time for the travel industry. But there's, another thing that we know is that people not only love to travel, but people live to travel.
Yeah.
Many people, and I include myself in that group, are thinking of their next destination while they're on their current trip. It's just
Yeah.
where can I go next? There's a thirst to see the world. So, everyone that had travel plans this year that canceled them, those people are rescheduling. I'm connected to quite a few travel agents in the area, and they're all telling me people are rebooking. People are very hopeful that this is going to be behind them, and they're rebooking for 2021. So, we know that the travel industry is going to bounce back. We feel it. We know it. We just don't know exactly when that will be. It's a fluid situation, and any major shift is likely to come with a vaccine. And so for now, really my primary goal has been just stay connected to our customers.
And how do you primarily do that?
Yeah, so, it's been, you talked earlier about pivoting, and, that's really, what we've done, so in an effort to stay relevant, I can't be out there talking about, the best luggage to take, on a safari to Africa. I mean, it's not relevant.
Yeah.
So we've pivoted to, home health and travel health and safety items. So, and in fact, one of the first things I did on the website a few months ago was create a new category called travel health, but it's also travel and home health. So it's a lot of research on products that can be used not only now but also in the future when we're traveling again. So, here's an example. So everyone is selling masks. I mean, you can go into any store, any of the major chains, everyone's selling masks.
Hmm.
But I found a mask that is technically superior to other masks on the market. So it's not inexpensive. So it's you're going to pay a little bit for it, but it's been a really important discovery because, this mask is ideal for anyone that has to wear a mask for a long period of time. So teachers, restaurant workers. In fact, I was eating at a restaurant. This is a few months ago, and was talking to the restaurant owners, and they were talking about how difficult it is to wear their mask. They can't take the masks off. I said, I have something I think you would like. Come in and see this mask. So she came in and purchased this mask that I'm talking about, and her husband wore it the next day. And 2 days later, she came back and bought 13 for the rest of her wait staff. So, this has been a terrific item and kind of a nice niche. So it's also been an ideal mask for anyone with a medical issue that makes it difficult to breathe in most other masks. We have a very
Hmm.
close friend that has a lung condition, and this is the only mask he can breathe in. And the other part of it is that the protection it provides is really superior. It's got silver ions, it's got filter layers. It's just it's really like the Tesla of masks, I call it. So I've been selling these, and I've been contacting teachers and schools and senior centers in my area pretty extensively, and I've sold dozens and dozens of these masks. And really, to a person, people have told me that it's the best, most comfortable mask they own by far. So that's been like a nice little niche for us, and it's something that can be utilized in so many different settings. Anybody, as I said, that's wearing it for a long period of time. So that's been one thing, but there are other things. I came across a great item. It's a UV sanitizing box, so
I
it's
remember you telling me
portable.
about this.
Yeah, I mean it's just it's a high quality item. Sanitizes any small items that you are high touch items like your phone, your keys, all those types of items. So again, I've connected with area schools. I thought this would be a perfect item for nurses' offices, um, for you know other settings, like in healthcare settings. So, I tried it, and I know that a lot of the schools particularly don't have a lot of money to spend on this. So I'm working really closely with them on the pricing. I'm providing the largest discount that I can um, extend. I'm trying to make it as affordable as possible. But the other ways that I've pivoted, I've really here's a few examples. I brought in this beautiful shawl. It's a lightweight, beautiful fabric shawl, and it's treated with insect shield. So it's a perfect summer item. Wrap yourself up in this. Everyone's sitting outside, you know, in backyards and restaurants and so forth outside. So it was really a perfect item. I've reordered that shawl 3 times. So, I'm selling barware, sport bottles, waterproof backpacks for the beach, um, really cute rain ponchos. They're packable, but they're really great for every day. So all these different categories have proven to be really successful. I've reordered most of these, multiple times. Every time I get something new in, I make a video. I post it on all my business social media platforms, um, with the tagline that Herbs Luggage is so much more than luggage. That's been my quarantine COVID tagline, that, we're so
I
much
love it.
more. Yeah, I mean, it's just so, it's really, and people have come in and really been enthusiastic about purchasing these items. Um, I try to make, good, careful decisions. And so far, it's really been working. I mean, it's not luggage, so long term, it's not truly sustainable for the business, but you know, we're holding on, we're staying connected to people. I think people will start to think of us as more than just luggage. And that's going to be a win down the road too.
And the one thing I get from both our conversations today and then the prep call, when COVID happened, I saw advertisers really go one of three ways: complete panic and close everything and just panic, deer in the headlights. I don't know what's going on. I can't make any decisions right now, and really not do anything. But then the third type and the third category was just a methodical approach, something very stoic of, well, here's where we're at. Here's where we are. Here's the situation. What can I control? What can I do? What decisions do I need to be made? Do I need to make? And it sounds, the general vibe and energy I get from you is very much that of calm and cool, that I really admire. Now, in that time, was there panic as you made these decisions to pivot in product? I know you told me earlier about some charity things that you're doing, and to stay connected with your audience. You sound like you just were methodical. This is the reality. I'm gonna now. How do I adapt? Was it that sort of energy when this was all going down? Because I can tell you, there was a couple days of pure panic on my end, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I think there was at the beginning of this, of course, there was so much uncertainty around, what was happening. But as the situation, continued to unfold in the spring, it became clear that we had to really figure out how to stay relevant. And, you know, again, we had just moved to this location last summer. So I really felt like I hadn't had the opportunity to really expand the breadth of the categories that we were carrying, but it had always been my intention because we were in such a great location now that we had the capacity to sell gift items that we weren't able to sell in the previous location. So I had all these ideas rolling around in my head for a long time and had just frankly been so busy from the minute we opened our doors last August that I just hadn't, with networking and our thank God our business was, just really so solid from the really very beginning that I just hadn't had time to pursue all these sort of tangents and different categories. But then this period allowed me to do exactly that. So it had always been my intention to expand our categories beyond just purely travel items. I think that we can do a great gift business with carefully chosen gift category items. So this just allowed me to really do that for a practical purpose now. We're not selling luggage. So this is the opportunity right now to test out some of these categories. And it's been really exciting, to be honest. It's been exciting to see what people are interested in and, finding places in the store for these new items. It's actually been fun and interesting, fun doing the videos that I've been posting. So I'm really enjoying it, and I have more to come. I have other ideas I'm exploring, and it's kind of exciting. I mean, we live for the travel business to come back. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it is fun and exciting to explore different opportunities and different categories and channels.
Yeah, it sounds like, if I can distill what you're talking about, it's right now it's about holding on, got to get through to when travel comes back, however that happens. Stay connected to your audience and your customers and stay relevant. So adapt
Exactly.
and pivot how you need to stay relevant.
Exactly. And I think, that's the really, sometimes challenging part is, you know, getting the message out there and having the right tone. I think tone was very important throughout all of this,
Mhm.
particularly in the beginning. Um, the messaging had to be careful and, you know, thoughtful and sensitive. And so I think that was all part of it. And you actually mentioned something that we had talked a little bit about, I think, in our prep call, which was the charities, the charity work that we do.
Yeah. Tell us more.
Yeah, so, when we moved to Vernon Hills, being in a community, it was really important for me to establish, some charitable cause to be connected to. You know, I mean, the first thing is that anyone who comes in my store and asks for a donation for their particular cause, I never say no. I never say no. I'm always, happy to support the community in any way that I can. But I wanted to be really affiliated with something deeper and more meaningful. And I was having a conversation with someone talking about exactly this, and he said, "Oh, you should meet my friends so and so. They organize this nonprofit called Luggage for Freedom." And as soon as I heard the name of it, I thought, "Well, that sounds like that could be the something perfect for me."
Yeah.
And it turned out to be, just an amazing connection. So I connected with the two women that started Luggage for Freedom about 16 or 17 years ago. And they're just two working women, moms in the community, and they started to collect used luggage. And throughout the year, they would collect. And then once a year in October during Domestic Violence Awareness Month, they would have a packing event where they packed the luggage with new sheets, new towels, toiletries, and then the luggage would be distributed to area shelters for women. And I thought, oh my gosh, as a woman owned business and as a female, I mean, I'm always interested in any way that I can help pull women up and help lift women up. And it was just a perfect fit. So from the very beginning, I set up an area in the very front of the store. It's literally when you walk in the door, you will see a trunk, and inside the trunk are sheets, towels. There's luggage up in that corner, because it was important for me to make it very apparent we collect, used luggage throughout the year. Um, and then, so it was something I did a lot of advertising about in for the first 6 months. It's at the point now where people just know that they can pull up, back up their car, unload the luggage. They don't have to come into the store. They don't have to interact with us if they choose not to. I wanted to make the donation part really authentic and really easy. And I would
Mm.
say since we've been working on this initiative, we've donated, I'm going to guess, between 3 and 400 pieces of luggage.
Wow.
And in addition to that, people drop off sheets and towels, and they have to be new. And people will stop at, especially during the Christmas season. I was very vocal on Facebook about, the next time you're in Target or Walmart or wherever, just grab two towels and drop them off in our trunk. And people did it. I mean, people were remarkably, just so generous and so, willing to help. I think people like to be connected to something that's good, and we try to be that, conduit to something good. And it's been an honor to really be connected to it. So that's, been something that I'm proud to be part of, and just happy to be part of it. It's an amazing effort.
That's awesome. Now, is there a URL if our listeners wanted to learn more about Luggage for Freedom? Do you know of?
That's a really good question.
I tried searching while we were talking,
I
and I
know, yeah,
didn't find
it's really
anything.
interesting you say that. No, I really will. I'll post something on the website,
Great.
on my personal Facebook page and on the Herbs Luggage Facebook page. But I think that's a great point. I will definitely put. It's easy to create a page for Luggage for Freedom, just to explain what we do and how people can donate.
Yeah, that'd be great because it sounds like an amazing cause, and
Yes,
definitely something that fantastic you guys are doing, but also in line with that strategy of stay connected and
right,
something that I, if you told me that's what they do and I didn't know you were involved, I would tell them they should call you.
right,
That is
right,
a
right.
perfect fit. Now,
It is.
um, one more question on kind of COVID and travel. What are you looking at? Like, what are the tea leaves you read to see how things are going? You mentioned some news articles before, but what are you looking at to see and to plan for the rebound, to see when it's going to happen and what you should be doing as a business owner?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm very connected to so many different travel sites, to travel advisors to, CDC, the CDC website. I'm always on the CDC website. So I feel like I have my finger on the pulse of what's happening with travel, but we also really listen to our customers. I mean, we talk to people that are coming in, and listen, there aren't nearly as many people coming into the store as we would normally have, but you know, I think something that I mentioned earlier is that, people not only love to travel, people live to travel. I mean, there's just, you know, so much information out there for travelers, how to travel on a budget, traveling solo, you know, all the travel bloggers that exist. People are just waiting, I think, for potentially for a vaccine, for some, signal that may indicate that it's safe to travel. I think people are just a little bit afraid still. And
Mhm.
the reality is that there are still a lot of countries that you can't travel to. So there's just a lot of restrictions, for good reason. But I think there's just a lot of things that we have to continue to watch for on a daily basis, weekly basis, for the restrictions to drop, for cases to drop, potentially for a vaccine, would be obviously the best solution. I just don't think people are quite ready to get on a plane. There's no cruising until September or October. So there's just it's everything's still on hold, but I think when people do travel again, I do think that it's going to be different. I don't think it's ever going to be the way it was before. I think people will be traveling cautiously for a long time to come. So I think that when people are ready to travel, they're going to still look to us to provide the safety items that we're looking at now, which is
Mhm.
means that we're going to continue, I think, to sell the UV sanitizers. We're going to sell the tray table covers, the headrest covers for the airplanes, hand sanitizer, packing cubes are a great way to keep your stuff out of a drawer when you're traveling somewhere. So I think that we're going to continue to put an emphasis on traveling healthy and safely, and we'll have to be prepared to continue to provide the right types of safety items for people as they begin to venture out again.
Really a whole new category of
It's a
travel
whole
health,
yeah.
a whole new category.
Yeah, it
Um,
really is. And there's companies that are always innovating. We have some travel accessory companies they're always innovating. I mean, there's one company that's coming out with, I think we're getting them in the next month, these antimicrobial pouches. So you can put your phone or any small items in these antimicrobial pouches to kill the germs. There's
mm.
antimicrobial cloths that you can wipe things, down with your high touch items. So the companies are always innovating too. So we're just, looking for all the items that we think will make a difference to people when they start to travel.
Awesome. Times like these breed innovation. And again, I love the strategy of holding on, stay connected, and stay relevant.
Right.
And Renee, we've burned through all my questions. Thank you so much.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
some of the things that I learned is and just from listening to you, how you approach these times, is really, really important.
Mhm.
Uh, and pivoting is important. And really, you said a couple times listening to the customers
Right.
um, is so important. So I think this has been a fantastic time. Thank you so much. Now, if someone wants to get a hold of you or go to the site, why don't you give us all the socials and websites so that they can get there?
Yeah. So the website is irvsluggage.com, IRVSluggage.com. Facebook is, Irvs Luggage. Our Instagram handle is at Irvs Luggage, and Twitter is also at Irvs Luggage, hashtag Irvs Luggage. So easy to find us. And, I can be reached at Renee S at irvsluggage.com. That's my email. And I would love to hear from anybody out there with any questions about travel or, marketing during this, crazy time.
Awesome. Well, Renee, thank you so much. I really appreciated this time. Best of luck
Thank
with this
you.
new iteration of Herbs, and hopefully, these things will pass as quickly as they can, and we can all get back to traveling, which is something I personally, we have gone back and forth with scheduling a trip yet. We want to get
Right.
out of our area so badly.
Right, right, and that's I think everyone's struggling with that. So, there's if you decide to go, there's definitely items that we have that can keep you safe and healthy, and that's what we're telling people when your comfort level's there. We're ready when you are. That's been another mantra of ours is we're ready when
Awesome.
you are. So,
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Renee.
thank you so much.
So first off, a big thank you to Renee for joining me for this conversation. Really appreciated it. And wow, there was a ton of stuff in there. Talk about a long-running family business. Love it. Some of the things that I grabbed from that, and one of the key things that I think we can look at, especially in the age of Amazon, and many people, many advertisers are trying to figure out how to compete with Amazon. A lot of people are trying to be Amazon. And seeing what Renee has done with, and her husband have done with Herb's Luggage of, let's be everything that Amazon can't. And then seeing that succeed, and then even seeing it succeed through a pandemic and the retail apocalypse. That really spoke volumes to me about how you handle big competitive juggernauts that come into the space. One of the things that she also said that I think it's really good to know is if you're a travel brand or a travel affiliate and you're trying to figure out what to do right now, and the first one is you got to hold on. So you got to figure out your way of getting through this. At some point, like Renee said many times, we're going to come out of this. And that thirst to travel, as she said, people live to travel. I totally agree. I love to travel. I don't know if I live for it, but I definitely I'm on the fence of living it or just loving it. That's going to come back. And when it does come back, I think it's going to come back strong and quick. So you got to hold on to make sure you're there for the rebound. And while we didn't talk about a lot of this, I think a lot of it is going to be your cost structure, your cash flow, and then these other things. The next thing she said was stay connected. So you have to stay connected to your consumers and your audience. Right now, they may not be thinking of traveling and booking their flight and buying all the things they need to go with that travel, but they will someday. So you have to stay connected to your key audience and your customers. And Renee outlined some really great ways she's doing that through charities and also through product development and cultivation, bringing in creating a whole new category in her store and on her website for travel health, and then making sure she has cultivated great products that fit her audience in that category. So hold on, stay connected, and stay relevant. Make those pivots. What a great conversation. I learned a ton, and you can tell Renee loves what she's doing, and I bet that has a tremendous impact on her business. So Renee, thank you again for joining me, and listeners, thank you for joining me as well. If you need any help and you want an expert to look at your program and your affiliate marketing and give you a quick 15-minute look, I would love to help. I've made my Fridays available. You can go to calendly.com/Jamie Birch and set up a time with me. I would love to spend time with you and answer any questions, help you get through our current challenge as well. And you can also email gethelp@JEBCommerce.com if you'd like help managing your program or you just have a question you need answered. We are here to help you. We truly are in this together. So please do not hesitate to contact us. And hey, if you like this podcast, share it in social media, put it out on Facebook and Twitter, but also log into Apple and Stitcher and Spotify and give us a review, give us a 5-star. And if you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, I would love to have you. You can email me at gethelp@jebcommerce.com too. Thank you for listening.